Hello, this is Angelia, and you are watching or listening to the podcast, Why You Do What You Do. The podcast that talks about human development and psychology to maybe help you figure out a little bit more about why you do what you do. And last time we were talking about depression and older people, and we're going to take back up on that. Vulnerability to depression seems to result from the influence of multiple genes interacting with environmental factors. And that's why my mom used to say she had situational depression because she wasn't happy with her life. But, okay. Such as a lack of exercise, stressful events, loneliness, or the use of certain medications may trigger it. So, there's a lot of things that can trigger it, and most of it is, the situation that you're in and your attitude about the situation that you're in. Brain imaging of depressed patients revealed a chemical imbalance of critical neurotransmitters and a malfunctioning of neural circuits that regulate moods, thinking, sleep, appetite, and behavior. So these chemicals that regulate these things can be out of balance in your brain. I know that was what was going on with my husband, and that's why they gave him Zoloft and everything. But, if you need help, get help. There's no shame in it. A strong network of family and friends can help older people ward off depression or to cope with it. Cognitive behavioral psychotherapy and interpersonal therapy have had good results. Antidepressant drugs can restore the chemical balance in the brain. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, they call them in the professional world, such as Prozac, have fewer side effects than older drugs. Now, you might have heard grandma or mom or somebody talk about these drugs and did stuff. The newer drugs are better. They don't have as many side effects. As time goes on, people tweak things and they get better. More than 8 out of 10 people with depression improve when given appropriate treatment with medication, psychotherapy, or both. And it is a good thing to get both because the drug might fix your chemical imbalance in the brain, but usually people who are depressed have some mental health issues or emotional health issues because of something or another that's happened to them in their life. So when you get a two-pronged approach like that, usually you can take care of the depression and come out of it to have a better life. And it's worth it to do that for yourself. The combination treatment can also reduce recurrence. So if you're just taking the pill to feel better and the root issue is not purged and taken care of, that's all you're doing is you're taking a pill. And it might make you feel a little bit better, but if you don't take care of that garbage and take your garbage out, your depression's going to keep coming back. Electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT, also called shock therapy, may be administered in severe cases. And that's only with the worst people who have a lot of problems and, problems in the brain itself to where they need a reset. Cognitive development. Aspects of cognitive development. Old age adds as it takes away, said the poet William Carlos Williams in one of 3 books of verse written between his first stroke at the age of 68 and his death at 79. This comment seems to sum up current findings about cognitive functioning in late adulthood. As Baltez's lifespan developmental approach suggests, age brings gains as well as losses. Let's first look at intelligence and processing abilities, then at memory, and then at wisdom, which is popularly associated with the later years. And that's, been traditional throughout time. The older folks have some wisdom. Intelligence and processing abilities. Does intelligence diminish in late adulthood? The answer depends on what abilities are being measured and how. Some abilities, such as speed of mental processes and abstract reasoning, may decline in later years. but aspects of practical and integrative thinking tend to improve throughout most of adult life. So, as you get older, you do start to lose things, your memory starts going, but all in all, you are smarter. You are able to think better, and usually, a little experience and wisdom gives you an edge over the younger folks. And although chances and processing abilities may reflect neurological deterioration, there is much individual variation, suggesting that declines in functioning are not inevitable and may be preventable. And that's why I say take care of yourself. Measuring older adults' intelligence. Measuring older adults' intelligence is complicated. A number of physical and psychological factors may lower their test scores and lead to underestimation of their intelligence. Older adults, like younger ones, test best when they are physically fit and well rested. Neurophysiological problems, such as high blood pressure or other cardiovascular disorders, which can affect blood flow from the brain, can interfere with cognitive performance. Because, if the blood's not going, then, you're not able to do the recall. Vision and hearing losses may make understanding test instructions difficult. The time limits on most intelligence tests are particularly hard on older people. Since both physical and psychological processes, including perceptual abilities, tend to slow with age, older adults do better when they are allowed as much time as they need. And sometimes that's for younger folks too, if they have a learning disability and they're allowed extra time and things, to get stuff figured out. Test anxiety is common among older adults. They may expect to do poorly, and this expectation may become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as anything can. If you have an expectation that you're going to fail at something, chances are you are, because you just made it so that you do. They may lack interest and motivation unless they are taking the test to qualify for a job or some other important purpose that they feel is important to them. To measure the intelligence of older adults, researchers often use the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, or the WAIS for short. Scores on the WAIS subtests yield a verbal IQ, a performance IQ, and finally, a total IQ. And they have one of these for kids too. If you've ever had a kid and, ECE, then you'll know they have that for kids too. Older adults, as a group, do not perform as well as younger adults on the WAIS, but the difference is primarily in nonverbal performance. On the 5 subtests in the performance scale, such as identifying the missing part of a picture, copying a design, and mastering a maze, scores drop with age. But on the 6 tests making up the verbal scale, particularly tests of vocabulary, information, and comprehension, scores fall only slightly and very gradually. So that means, our physical abilities, the, sense abilities, go before the marbles. This is called the classic aging pattern. So, this is not something that's unusual or, to worry about. What might account for this pattern? For one thing, the verbal items that hold up with age are based on knowledge. Unlike the performance tests, they do not require the test taker to figure out or do anything new. The performance tasks, which involve the processing of new information, require perceptual speed and motor skills, which can reflect muscular and neurological slowing. So, that's why we get worse at those things as we get older. Another line of research introduced has made a similar distinction between fluid and crystallized abilities. The former depending largely on neurological status and the latter on accumulated knowledge. So, the more you learn, the better off you're going to be as you get older. As in the classic aging pattern on the WAIS, these two kinds of intelligence follow different paths. In the classic aging pattern, however, the trend in both verbal and performance scores is downward throughout most of adulthood. So, sorry, we're just going to go down as we get older. Fact of life. The difference, though substantial, is one of degree. For far more encouraging is the pattern of crystallized intelligence, which improves until fairly late in life, even though fluid intelligence declines earlier. So usually, once you know a thing and it's there, you're going to stay knowing it, unless you get Alzheimer's, dementia, something like that, and where you're forgetting a lot. Indeed, it has been argued that the importance of crystallized intelligence increases later in life, outweighing any decline in fluid abilities. Baltes and his colleagues have proposed a dual process model, which identifies and seeks to measure aspects of intelligence that may continue to advance, as well as aspects that are more likely to deteriorate. In this model, mechanics of intelligence consist of information processing and problem-solving functions, independent of any particular content. The dimension, like fluid intelligence, is physiologically based and often declines with age. Pragmatics of intelligence include such potential growth areas as practical thinking, application of accumulated knowledge and skills, specialized expertise, professional productivity, and wisdom. So again, the older you get, the more you know, the more you will retain. And this is information you can draw on for things, that you can use for like common sense. And sometimes older folks lose some of that, and that's why they get scammed and stuff like that, because they're just taking people at their word. And if I did that, I'd be scammed 15 times a day, because every day on social media there's, oh hi, this stuff, get it? No, you're not. You're obvious, and I can see it. Everybody can see it. Whatever. This domain, which often continues to develop in late adulthood, is similar to, but broader than, crystallized intelligence, and includes information and know-how garnered from education, work, and life experience. That's why I tell you, young people, you might think the older folks they don't know, the world nowadays, but they've known the world longer than you. So they do have more experience than you. I know you don't want to hear that, but you can ask them things and they can help you based on their experience, because they might not know how the world is today, but they've known the world longer than you have, and they know people in situations better than you do. So you feel free to ask your older folks for advice. Through selective optimization with compensation, older people may use their pragmatic strengths to compensate for weakened mechanical abilities. So, as you get older, the brain becomes more important in your life than the body, because your body's going, and if you keep the brain healthy, that's going to keep you going a little bit longer, because you're going to use some common sense and some pragmatics and getting along with others and things, because let's face it, someday you're probably going to need some help from other people. And if you we were just talking about this earlier, if you've been mean to people all your life, no one's going to want to mess with you when you're old. They're going to be like, why should I bother with that? But that's just something to think about. Well, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. I hope this helped you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. Please like and share this educational program so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. Thanks for watching. That's all for now. Until next time.